Let's move on to tax reform, Congressman. A new Quinnipiac poll this morning finds that a majority of voters, 53%, disapprove of the Republican tax plan, while just 29% approve. Why do you think that people do not like this plan?
Well, people I talk to like the plan because they realize that the middle class is going to get a great tax cut and it's going to boost the economy. Depending on how you ask the question, and I haven't seen the question asked there. I mean, if you look at the media reports and what you hear Democrats in Congress say, is that it's going to be a lot of things that it's not. And all that they're doing is opposing tax cuts for middle class and hardworking families. So when you look at what our plan does, everybody that's actually done estimates on it will say average families are going to see about $1,200 back in their pockets. You're going to see economic growth. We're going to bring jobs back to America. You know, all of us have complained when you see big companies moving good jobs, thousands of jobs at a time, to foreign countries. We're doing something about it in our bill. And people, when you tell them about that, they really like that feature. When you find out over 90% of Americans can do their taxes on a postcard because we simplify the code, people really like that. So, you know, education really helps a lot. I go out and talk about it in my district, and people love the things that they hear. They just haven't heard it in the mainstream press.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that there are issues, even the people who like the plan. There's an op-ed in the Journal today, no alternative, no tax problem. The Senate right now has kept in the alternative minimum tax for individuals and corporations. A lot of complaints about this. How do you think this is going to end up?
You know, in the House version, we repealed the alternative minimum tax. One more thing that just makes it harder for businesses to grow. They're going to work out those differences in conference. We're looking at trying to do some other things, maybe lowering the top rate more, helping our small businesses even more. We do a lot to help small businesses in our bill. We can do more to make that even better. When you see the kind of economic growth we're going to get from this bill, after 8 years of stagnation and slow growth, I think people were just accustomed to that, you know, that being the best we could do. And we can do a lot better. And you're already seeing a lot of optimism out there. And I think you're going to see a lot more job creation and again, wage growth that we haven't seen in a long time, too. And once that happens, people are going to be real happy with what they see.
In terms of your efforts to lower the top rate in the House, are you looking to lower the top rate from 39.6%, or are you looking to lower the rate, that bubble rate that is still in the House plan, 45.6% on income of between $1.2 and $1.6 million?
I think they're looking at all of that in the conference committee. Obviously, the differences between the House and Senate you can go look at. But even things like the individual mandate repeal that was in the Senate version, we've repealed the individual mandate in the House many times. Something like that could be in a final version, too. We have some differences on the death tax. I'd like to see full repeal of the death tax. Senate's got a different take on it. But let's get these final differences worked out. The big things that we already agree upon are, I think, what's most important to the economy, and that's lowering rates, making the country competitive again. And the biggest point of this all is, you know, we've had a president, Donald Trump, who's led the charge on this. He said, I want to rebuild our middle class. I want to bring jobs back to America and make us competitive. And he's really been incredibly helpful, and the vice president, at making sure that we could get the votes to pass it through the House. He was very engaged in the Senate, too. And then we've got one step left. We're on the 1 yard line. We're going to push this thing in the next 2 weeks.
Well, look, certainly already you're seeing a real anticipation and reaction. Economists are talking about 4% global growth next year, 3.5% on unemployment. So certainly you are expecting some good results. But let's talk about this elimination of the state and local tax deduction. You have a $10,000 cap in terms of property deduction there in the House and the Senate bill. But a lot of people are saying since the high tax states like New York, New Jersey, California lose that deduction, they're going to move out of these high tax states. Are you expecting a lot of mobility as a result of this plan?
Well, you've already had dramatic mobility away from those states. You know, just go to Florida, go to Texas. In Texas, you'll see a whole bunch of high-income people and businesses that moved out of California. In Florida, you'll see the same thing from New York's high taxes. States with high taxes have already been really decimating their economies and running off a lot of the job creators that you'd want to keep. It might continue, but the bottom line is people are going to get tax cuts under this bill. And across the board, that's what's most important, and that's going to get our economy moving again. We were so used to less than 2% growth under Barack Obama. 1.8% growth was a good day for some people. We're already well over 2%, 3%. If you break 4% growth on a regular basis, what that means to families that have been working hard and struggling to finally see wage growth, to finally see more money in their paychecks, that's going to be a really big win for the economy.
Look, I totally agree. Everybody would like to see more money in their paycheck and lower taxes, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, some people feel that that's not the case because you are going to see that elimination of the deduction mean higher taxes for some people.
Right.
And
well,
I'm wondering, do you think that given the fact that the 10% of top earners pay 70% of the tax, are you cutting taxes on the people who actually pay taxes? I mean, I've been asking this question throughout this entire process because it's true. I mean, the top earners are paying all the tax, and they're also spending much of the money. Their taxes aren't necessarily going down, Congressman. You know that because of this elimination of the deduction. Their some of those people, their taxes will go up.
Well, Maria, I know you and I have talked about this a few times before as this bill's moved through the process. Each step of the way, we've worked harder to make sure that folks, even in high-income states like New York, New Jersey, California, and others, are going to get income tax relief as well. And if you look at the work that's being done in the conference committee to try to lower the top rate, that will help everybody across the country, but it's going to help especially people in those states like New York and California.
What rate are you talking about? What, 35%? What's the rate being talked about?
Well, they've got to work through, in anything you change on one side, you've got to make up for on the other side. The bill allows for up to $1.5 trillion in tax cuts. Right. Which is unbelievably dramatic, Reagan Revolution kind of stuff that we're talking about. So if you lower the top rate to some level below 39.6, then ultimately they've got to find another way to make up for that money, and they're working through that.
So where does the money come from?
That's what the conference committee is working on right now. They've got ideas, but until they come up with something that works best for the economy, for hardworking families, let's let them continue to do the work. The fact that they're trying to lower that rate, I think, is good for everybody, including the folks you're talking about in the high-tax states. And I work real closely with my colleagues in New York and New Jersey and California and Illinois that have been trying to fix this problem even more. And I think you're going to see a big win for families at every income level, and that's what we're trying to achieve. Fairness across the board. Everybody should be a winner from this, and will be if you look at what's going to happen in the economy.
Congressman, real quick, we got to jump, but should we be worried about a shutdown this Friday? Government shutdown?
No, this week we're looking at bringing a short-term spending bill. It's not a long-term agreement that I'd like to get. I'd like to see real certainty for our Defense Department and a pay raise for our troops. The fact that you've got some liberals around here that don't even want to give certainty to our troops is a shame, but you know, we're going to keep working through this. Yeah.
I know the budget caps have to come off in order to get the military where it needs to be. Sequestration really hurt. Congressman, it's good to see you, sir. Thanks very much.
Always great to be with you, Maria.
We'll see you soon, sir. Congressman Steve Scalise there.